Okay.
All
Okay,
right.
Serenity. We are now recording.
All right.
So I suppose to begin with, I'm interviewing a few people just to see what's there, you know, so I can, in a sense, get feedback and see what your experience was or is. And also then for anyone else who's curious about the work, that can hear someone's perspective who did it. But I also know like that, and I don't want for you or for anyone else that I talk to, that it doesn't, the work isn't a silver bullet. Like it never was intended to be. It was life keeps coming. And we have our days that we can do it and our days that we're just overwhelmed by it. But you probably don't have any experience of that.
Oh, no, not at all. No, not with 2 kids at home all the time because of the pandemic. No, I don't.
Okay. To start, is there anything, if you in a sense could introduce yourself of just
Sure.
like your I suppose previous experience with inner work or spiritual work, who you are, so people can get an idea of what type of person, just so we can categorize you and put you in a box and say, oh, and she's this type of person.
So I'm a Libra and I was born now. So I am, you know, a 42-year-old woman. I've been kind of, I'd say since my mid-20s, kind of trying to answer, you know, like, who am I? And kept just like scratching the surface and scratching the surface. And then, of course, like life keeps coming in and distracting me from that path at various times, you know, going to grad school, getting my career started, you know, getting married, having kids. But I'd say probably within like the last 2 years, I've made more of a commitment to doing inner work. And that started with a daily meditation practice. But I kept feeling like I was still just like scratching the surface of things. And I knew that I wanted to go deeper, but I didn't know how to go deeper. You know, I don't have, because I have little kids at home, I don't have the luxury of like, I'm going to go to, you know, a meditation retreat for 10 days. Like that's not something that ever can happen for me right now. So it was just like talking to friends of mine, you know, what are you doing? And one of my friends actually has, you know, gone through your program and kept saying to me, like, you got to check this guy out. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, no, he's awesome. He lives in his car. And I would go, he lives in his car. You know, what can he teach me? You know, he's living in his car. But then I did, you know, pick up your Instagram and sign up for your newsletter and was just like reading the things that you were putting out there. And more, I found myself just like drawn to what you were saying, because it was the things that were already like happening in the back of my mind that I just wasn't quite reaching by myself with the meditation practice, with the tarot cards, with the crystals. Like they just were, it was more fluffy. And I was looking for something that, you know, brought me in deeper. And then I think we had a first phone call, and it was during that first phone call, I knew that you were who I wanted to work with, because you weren't trying to sell me on anything. You know, so much of what I see out there is like, you got to do this because this is the thing that's going to, you know, help you integrate your shadow once and for all, or this is the thing that's going to get you on your path. And you didn't give me any of that BS. You were like, it's work. You have to show up, you have to do the work, and you have to do it every day. And it's not for everybody. And I almost felt like a little bit like you were trying to like dissuade me almost, you know, because and then you were like, take the day and think of, you know, take a whole night and think about it. And I did. And like my dreams, which are never very active, were very active that night. And so that was just more like this is the direction that I need to go in. And so that's how I got to you, like in a very quick little nutshell.
Yeah. No, it's great. Yeah. Well, I have had people that I've had that call with, and on the call they say, yes, you know, I want to do it. Can I pay you now? And I say, let's take a couple of days, and I might never hear from them again. or maybe in a couple of days they say, no, I'm not ready. And like you experienced the dreams, it's not unusual, like after that call, that people start to shift. And maybe some people are afraid of that shift, and they think, oh no, like I know we all want to be free and we want to be happier, but then when the work is presented, sometimes we're just not ready. We're not at that point. Like, I think you were really ready from day one. You worked from day one. Some people, it does take a few days or even a few weeks to kind of get into a rhythm and to realize, yeah, in a sense, the amount of work, like you can work, you can stay at it. There's no days off.
No.
Yeah, I suppose, was there anything that pushed you into making that decision? I don't mean me, or I don't mean an outside. I mean, I think we get to a point where we kind of think enough is enough. As you say, the fluffy things are just not, they're just not doing it anymore. But it, like, in a sense, to sign up for an 8-week course is quite a leap.
Yes.
With a guy that you don't know. And I mean, I'm not Tony Robbins. I don't have a huge kind of marketing department or any of that. So I'm always intrigued that it does take something internally or externally for a person to kind of to take that jump, to take that leap. Do you remember? Are you aware? Do you feel anything or felt anything at that time that?
I think a lot of it had to do that we were in the pandemic, like we were in the thick of like, things just being at half speed from what they were.
Yeah.
And so since I was at that half speed, it was like I was able to allow myself more time to have this invitation come in, really.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. It is that window of opportunity. I mean, you know yourself, there is a good amount of time required. Well, it depends on how well people are doing. If we're struggling, you need to give time to the work, or else you kind of get dragged under by it. So it does help to have a little bit of, evening time or the morning meditation time to actually do the work, or else it can get on top of people.
And I think I also needed, I needed this. I needed the little bit of like extra structure that came with it. Like, because you ask us to like get up in the morning and immediately do your meditation. And I needed that at that point, again, because we were in that half speed place of the pandemic where it was like the schedule that I had was just gone. And so I did find myself start floating into like these bad habits of distracting myself with nothingness. And so I think there was a part of me inside that was like, this is not serving, this is not serving me. I need something more. I need something more concrete in my life.
Yeah. I mean, fair balls to you. It's that leap of actually needing and being ready for the structure and the work. A lot of spiritual people talk about loving themselves or being gentle, X, Y, and Z, all these lovely things. But when it boils down to it, it's like, well, how much work do you do today? Rather than I'm going on a retreat in 2 months. It's like, well, what did you do today? What did you do yesterday? And I know you can as well. We can now look back because there's a consistency. It's the building of that snowball. And that's what I love about it. At the end of a month, I've got 30 days that I know I've done work on myself every single day. And I haven't had to go, to a retreat or pay some person, or I don't know, or take time off or do any of these things. I can do it in my life. I can do it every day. I wanted to ask you, because I know, and it's not unusual. I know that you had a lot of trouble sleeping at times during those weeks. And I suppose a question as well, it may be in relation to the sleeping, like, as I remember I said to you, because it's happened with other people as well, that sometimes they just stop sleeping. And I feel that it's presenting us with a degree of exhaustion almost that the ego just can't fight. that you're just too tired to, because the ego is just so, it's electric. It's so far ahead of us at times. You know, in a conversation, it knows what the person's going to say. It knows how to respond. Whereas when
Yes.
we're worn down, it's like you just have to, you kind of
Yes.
just have to go through it. And
Yes.
although it's grueling, it's helpful. So yeah, I'm curious of your thoughts on that. And if you found that to be overwhelming at times, if it was too much at times, if there was moments that you thought, listen, I'm done.
So, you know, I've had issues with sleep for, I don't know, the last 12 years or so, but it definitely intensified in this. It definitely did. And there was like a whole week where I think I maybe got 2 hours a night, 3 hours, you know, it was just like, and it was exhausting because I do have little ones here that don't sleep past 7. So like, if I wasn't falling asleep till 5, I was just getting that 2 hours. That was it. So there was a little bit, I'd say, of like starting to get overwhelmed, but I did find that it did take away a layer of, I guess it was ego, you know, it took away some of that resistance that I had to certain things. And there were also things that I couldn't process during the day. Like I just, I couldn't. And they would come up at night. And it was like, I could fight it, or I could allow it and do these practices that we worked on together to allow it to all come up. And when I did allow it to all come up, like that was when, you know, once I moved through it, like then I would get some rest, whether it was that I fell asleep or whether it was just that I became more restful at that point and more at ease with what was going on. So it was worth it, you know.
It's like that pressure, you designed that pressure to force you to work. Like in a way, I saw early on from you, the lack of sleep at night forced you to build the routine. Whereas if you had been sleeping well at night and you've been busy during the day, maybe you still would have built the routine, but or maybe you would have struggled to find the time. But it's almost like spirit finds a pocket, you know, a way for you to not escape. Now you could have put the TV on, you know what I mean? Or you could have done other things, which you probably did at times as well, because you need to switch off at times as well.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
It did give you that window to get a routine.
It did.
Which we need. Yeah, we need that habit. Yeah, it needs to become habitual, like brushing the teeth, or that it's something that we don't have to go, oh my God, I have to meditate and integrate now, that it's just automatic. I just do it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I could often tell, you know, as early as like 9 or 10 at night in the beginning, like I'm going to have trouble tonight, like, because I kind of ignored myself. I ignored some of the stuff that was coming up during the day. And at the beginning, especially, like, I still was like, oh, I'm just really tired, so I just want to go to sleep. And I was still fighting it. And I think at some point you said to me, like, you can let go or you can be dragged. And like that really has stuck with me, and it continues to stick with me because, you know, I can continue to like claw and hold on and be miserable, or I can allow and find a sense of grace at the end of the allowance.
Yeah. It is that, like, I learned this the hard way because I fought it tooth and nail for 10 or 14 years. I fought everything, and so everything had to be kind of stripped from me. But now, having learned the hard way, it's easier. I was talking to someone earlier about this, that as we can read it and kind of see the stuff coming, we have the awareness to go, okay, I better work with this, because if I don't work with it now, I'm going to be working with it in 5 hours time, or tomorrow, or I'm not going to sleep tonight. It's going to escalate. It's not going to go away until I actually, like, ignorance is bliss. Like before the work, it's kind of like, maybe it'll go away. I'll watch TV and I'll eat chocolate. But now it's like, no, I can't get away with this.
No, there's no hiding. There's no hiding from it. No. But I think, like, for me, someone who came into this with an issue with sleep, you know, calling myself an insomniac, like this has actually really changed my relationship with my sleep. And
Okay.
now when I have nights where I just can't sleep, and sometimes it's that I have things that I have to work through. Sometimes I've discovered through this, I'm just really sensitive to the energies. I'm really sensitive to where the moon is.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
if the moon is going to a new moon, I don't sleep.
Yeah.
But doing this work, like now I'm just like, I'm so much more peaceful with it.
Yeah.
And for me now, if I don't fall asleep, or if I fall asleep for a couple hours and then I wake up, it's like, okay, this is okay. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
this is deep stillness. This time is deep stillness. So maybe I sit and I meditate. Maybe I read a book,
Mm,
maybe I, take a little walk outside when it gets warmer.
mm.
It's opened it up for me in a new way.
I know you know Joe because you had a session with him as
Yep.
well. And he had said to me in a couple of different sessions, he had said that I was doing a lot of work at night, and I
Mhm.
would go through periods where I sleep like a baby, and then I'd go through weeks where I'm just not sleeping at all, or I wake repeatedly and kind of tossing and turning, and often when I'm aware of that restlessness, I would sit up and just be still. And at times I just feel an awful lot of energy kind of come through me.
Mhm.
And then I might conk out. It's like I just need to sit up and I need to facilitate that
Yes.
download or that change. But I think you're the same. I think you're going through that stuff as well, that
Yes.
the lack of sleep, although it's exhausting and it's an inconvenience, especially if we have a busy day the next day, but it doesn't feel wrong to me. And it never felt wrong around you. It never felt like that there was something not working or something wrong. It felt that this is going somewhere. This is something unfolding. This is purposeful, allowing the release, allowing the exhaustion, or just the whole realignment of your own energy or of your system and the body. I feel it's all, the human mind can kind of go, I'm not sleeping, there's something wrong, I have to fix this.
Yes. We
You
want to
know,
fix it. Mhm.
yeah, I'll
Yeah.
take pain or sleeping tablets, or you know what I mean? There's something I have
Mhm.
to do. But I kind of feel, well, maybe it's just part of a process and it'll unfold. And like you said, of going for the walk or me sitting up to meditate, I feel that if we work with it, we will be guided on what to do. It might not mean that we get great night's sleep, but at least we'll know to do a little, to get the walk, to meditate, or to in some way alleviate the circumstances. It's less of a battle.
It is. It is.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it takes it from, it's no longer a burden. Like I used
yeah,
to be so burdened
exactly.
by it, and now I'm not.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. Like I feel it's a really important part of this work and of what's unfolding in general with people, that the waking up is, in my experience anyway, is not just some loving, blissful experience. There's lots of shit released along the way and continually. So if I can learn to kind of read that and know, okay, I'm going to have sleepless nights, I'm going to have backache, and if different shit's going to be spat up, well, at least I know how to work with it. So then it just is. It's no longer an excuse for me to kind of spend my day complaining or blaming people. Oh my God, I didn't sleep last night, or this is so terrible. It's like, no, it just is. Work with it, live with it, get on with your life. you
yes.
know,
Yep.
and it does transform. The other way, it feels like it's stuck. I'm stuck in a cycle of insomnia. I'm stuck in a cycle
Yes.
of pain. And that's traumatic because you just feel like nothing is moving here.
It's suffering. It's
Yes,
suffering.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I feel that once we're working through it, we may still have some of those symptoms or a lot of those symptoms at times, but there is a sense of satisfaction or awareness that this is actually a movement. This is
Mhm.
going somewhere. And that for me goes a long way. If I'm in the horrors and I know that things are shifting, well, I can live with that.
Mhm. Yeah.
I Yeah, as I said earlier, like the course is not a magic bullet. It was never intended to be. So I'm just curious if you have anything to say about, say, your expectations beforehand and then where you are. I checked this morning, you finished on, I think it was the 12th of December.
Mhm.
It feels like it was last month. So
I
it's
know.
like 3-4 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that you have a bit of perspective, course is finished, you've had a bit of time of carrying on yourself, and then you had the beforehand ideas of, oh, what will this be like, and how will I change, or will I change? I'm curious if you see any kind of trajectory, or maybe
So,
not.
no, I definitely do. So before I started, I was like, I'm not looking for a magic bullet. I know there's no magic bullet. I know I have to do the work. But then when I was like about halfway through the course, yeah, I think it was about 4 weeks in, I was like, I think I did want a magic bullet. Like this is like daily. This is a
Yeah,
grind sometimes. Like this is work.
yeah.
Um, but again, it was like I allowed it. I
Mm.
didn't fight that. I allowed it, and I admitted to myself that I had been looking for, some sort of answer, some sort of magic
Yeah.
pill, some sort of, here's the thing, you're now enlightened, you're now free of your shit, that doesn't exist. It just doesn't. And having that come up for me, helped me shift again. There was like another shift that happened at that point where I just realized that, like, if this is the life I want to live, if I want to live a life that isn't based on distracting myself and not feeling where I am and not moving forward, being a zombie essentially, then, this is what has to happen every day. I have to be more present to my life. I have to feel what's happening in here. And so I made that commitment. I like recommitted to myself about halfway through. And then, I did the next 4 weeks. And when I finished, I did have, again, it came up this kind of like, this is too much, I have to keep doing this. I can't keep doing this. But I allowed it. I allowed that myself to have that space. It was like right around the holidays too. So I was just kind of like, you want to watch more TV right now, eat more cookies, whatever, just like do it. And as I got more towards the new year again, it was like, no, I know that I'm not happy right now. I know I'm not fulfilled right now. And I know how to get back to feeling, better about my life. And so again, I recommitted, and I think that it's that comes up a lot. It's like, you have to make a choice every day to commit to yourself and to not just, scroll through Instagram and feel better because you're looking at beautiful pictures. Like, that's not living. Um, and it's hard some days. Some days it's hard. But I've gone through quite a few things. It's in the new year. Like, I've had a couple health challenges come up, and I think that I've been able to handle things so much more peacefully because I'm able to put my hand on my heart, and I'm able to tune into what's happening inside me. And I'm able to be with it, to like really be with my fear. Like, when my fear comes up, there it is. Instead of running from it, instead of, watching a movie and zoning out, it's like, no, this is here and it needs my attention, and I'm going to give it my attention. And I'm still going through stuff, but like, because I keep doing this, my practices every day, like, I'm not worried. I'm not fearful. I'm in general, like, feeling good about life, like, I know that I'm on a path, and I don't really know what comes next. I'm just putting one foot in front of the other, but it feels good to do that.
Yeah, that's a great place to be. I think that's a real place to be, because we come from that spiritual world of kind of, I know for me that I want to see what the road looks like so that I feel safe and I can kind of relax. But really, you've no idea what the road looks like. Who knows what's kind of coming in the next few weeks or a few months. We really don't know. And the only reason I want to see what it looks like is because I'm afraid.
Yes.
So the more I can be at home with the fear, well, then I'm not really thinking about tomorrow or next week, or I'm just kind of in the moment. I'm just kind of being grateful for what is, I do think it's great that you know, of you being able to be with that discomfort, because I know you have two girls, like it's such a different energy or dynamic, I think, to bring to kids. Like, it's not that you have to teach them or sit them down and say, this is what Gavin's course is. It's like kids pick it up, you know, they pick up the stress or anger or frustration, and that's part of life as well. Like, I mean, it's like you mentioned, eating the cookies or watching the movie. I mean, I still do those things. And sometimes it's kind of like, I've had a fucking hard enough day. You know, I'm watching YouTube for the next 2 hours. I don't care. And I'm eating popcorn and chocolate, you know. So some days I get to that point and I think, no, I'm exhausted. So it's finding, I'm not too militant. It's about finding, but then also having the other not extreme, but awareness to go, no, now I need to work. Like, now I can't watch YouTube for 2 hours. There's something that just needs to be addressed and it's not going away. And I feel that the point of the 8 weeks is to give us that kind of insider awareness that you can kind of no longer, you can get away for little bits, but sooner or later it kind of, it hangs around. We're more aware that there is stuff to be worked with.
Yeah, it's kind of like you get like a little antenna and the antenna just starts to pick up, like, okay, it's time to stop, you know, trying to control everything and, you know, deal with what's underneath that control. Because I'm the same way. Like, I want to know what's coming because I want to feel that I have control over what's coming. And why is that? Because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what's coming. But now it's like, I can allow myself maybe the 5 minutes to be afraid. And then that little antenna pops up and it's like, okay, how does that feel in here? Like, how does that feel?
Yeah.
And it's balance. It's a lot about balance, like finding a balance.
Yeah. I have one more question. Yeah, it's partially a question or a statement. I'm wondering, do you see, now you may have seen this weeks ago, but that was, say, before the course, a problem we saw as a problem and we needed to kind of get rid of it. And now for me, like, a problem is still discomfort, and I don't ideally want the discomfort, but I'm able to kind of flip it and see, okay, this is a potential, this is an opportunity to clear, you know, my fear around money or around a relationship or around being in Mexico or whatever it may be. So I now continually see these as opportunities as I do my, be it just a small bit of integration in a day or a lot of integration in a day. I feel that without these things, I can't evolve. Without these challenges or enemies, or for want of a better word, you know, the toxic people or the people that fuck me up or that challenge me, that I need them for me to see the frustration in me, the anger in me, the control in me, the escapism in me, that if I didn't have these people, I would just kind of remain sedate as I was for many years. So I suppose I'm wondering, do you see the pattern of that? You know, that as this stuff comes and you integrate it and you get a little bit freer, a little bit more grounded, a little bit more you. Can you look back on, say, it's 3 months since you finished the course, which means 5 months since you started the course? Are you able to see a kind of that snowball or that consistency of continually building? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, I guess like the best example is, again, we were in this pandemic, we were together a lot. So like my husband and I, you know, we were together more so even than before. You know, it was like you couldn't get away from each other because you can't go mix with anybody else. And so there was a lot of upset that I had with him, where I was just constantly frustrated with him before I started, you know, the program with you. And it was bad. It was really bad. And as we went through things, it was like I could see how it wasn't him. Like it was me. He was a mirror of what was going on inside me.
Yeah.
And it was what I needed to acknowledge within myself. You know, I thought he's frustrating me. He's doing this to me. And it was like, when I looked inside, it was like, no, I am frustrated with myself. I'm doing these same things that I'm blaming him for doing. Like, I'm doing them in my own way. And it took a lot of work through the 8 weeks on that. But by the time I got through those 8 weeks, like my dynamic and my relationship with him was completely different.
Yeah.
And there's still times where, you know, we'll get into it and he'll say something and it'll kind of set me off, you know.
Yeah.
But now I have that little bit of like cushion there where I think, no, he's just mirroring what's going on in here. Like,
Yeah.
this is what's happening inside me. This
Yeah.
is not his problem. This is something for me to look at, and me to go in and see, like I'm mad that he's not, you know, doing the dishes, and I'm getting all pissed off that he's not doing the dishes. Like, well, meanwhile, I'm really kind of pissed off at myself because, you know, I'm letting XYZ happen.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a lot of like realizing that what is around me is a reflection of me. Yeah.
Like that's a very intense experience to have gone through. Like, it's easier, obviously, if it's a neighbor or, you know, someone in work that you see once or twice a week. When it's your partner that, and in a pandemic, that you're seeing, you know, all day, every day, it's like there's no escape. But it's overwhelming at times, but it's also, I think you'd agree that it's also empowering. Because as long as we're blaming the other person, it's kind of nothing we can do. We need them to change. And if they're not going to change, you're on your own. Whereas as soon as you take responsibility that it's your stuff, it's like, okay, I can do something about me. I can't do something about them. But then, as you see as well, that as we change ourselves, the dynamic changes.
It does.
People start to interact differently. Like, it's mad, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. And even with my children, it's just like I can't quite put my finger on it, but like, they are different. My relationship with them is different. I had something just a couple weeks ago. My eldest daughter, I'm homeschooling her right now, and we keep butting heads over math. And we had this moment where we were both in tears over it. And I took her hands and we looked in each other's eyes, and I just said to her, you know, what do you feel inside right now? And we talked about like what was physically going on inside our bodies. And it was just like a switch flipped at that moment when we both took responsibility for what was happening inside. And realized, instead of blaming, like she was blaming me because I was being too hard, I was blaming her because she wasn't paying enough attention, you know, and we were getting nowhere. And since we did that, we are so peaceful about math time. Like, math time is like totally different. We're having fun. Like, things are just like, I was thinking about this morning. I was like, I cannot believe how different the last 2 weeks has been. Like, it's amazing. And it's because I stopped blaming her and she stopped blaming me. I mean, it's.
Yeah. Thanks, Serenity. Yeah, that's brilliant. I don't want to take more of your time, but it's great to hear it's great for me to hear the whole experience. Yeah. And that it's not over either. You know, that we can keep, like, some people do get kind of frustrated and think, oh no, it's not over. But what I mean by that is like, no, like there's more to be had. There's more on the table. It's not that I have to, oh no, I have to do more work. It's like, oh, I can get freer. I can be more confident. I can kind of explore who I am with people a bit more and see that, wow, I can become a bit more social or a bit happier or a bit, I don't know, like there's a whole world out there that previously I kind of wanted to lock myself away from, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the work never ends, which is a downer, but which is also like quite liberating, you know?
Yeah. No, it's I mean, I know you're not like looking for like some kind of like infomercial plug for,
Mm,
your course, but like I really, I mean, honestly, like my life is just better now.
yeah, yeah,
My life is so different. And I feel like I tried so many different things before, but again, it was just like surface level stuff. And
yeah,
what you asked me to do, it was simple, but it was going deeper and
yeah,
allowing myself to go deeper. And I mean, I just thank you, because this is life now, and life is like, it's good.
yeah. No, thank
Even when
you.
it's
Like,
bad, it's good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know, I agree. I no, thank you. I see, I do kind of feel that we're contracted and that you knew this already. You just had to be reminded of it. Um, so I'm just there to kind of maybe to push a little, to provide accountability. But also it's up to the individual, like it's up to each person. And you had your sleepless nights that you did the work. And I knew from early on that you were committed to it. So it's like anything in life, we get out of it what we put into it. And I mean, if we're missing meditations or sleeping in or kind of going, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, well, then that's the experience you're going to
That's
get, you
exactly.
know.
Yep. Yep.
And it's the same with me. And I get my days where I'm too distracted or busy, and then I pay a price for that. And then the days that I can actually slow down enough, well, then I kind of reap the rewards of that. It's a continued learning experience. So yeah, thank you. I'm grateful, and it's good to see you doing well. It's good to see you still doing it, and to hear the stories like the kids and your husband and stuff, that it spreads out to other people. Like, and it's not that we're going converting other people. Hey, you need to meditate every day and to repeat these slogans. Like, there's none of that.
No.
It's just that we're different, and then we interact with people differently, and then they have a different experience. You don't need to join any cult or kind of hire or what's the word, indoctrinate people or brainwash people. It's
Right. No. None of
brilliant.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Live differently. That's all it is.
Yep.
Okay. I'll let you go.
All right.
We've been quite long. We've been longer than I intended. So yeah, I know you have two kids and you have a job to do and so on.
Yeah.
So
Back to schooling.
okay, back to maths. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'll let you go. No, I'm grateful, and we'll talk soon.
All
Enjoy the
right.
rest of your day.
You too.
Thanks, Serenity. Bye.